Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we're going to completely deconstruct a foundational concept from an incredibly revered ancient text. We really want to understand its deeply detailed perspective on the human condition. Now, just to be clear up front, we aren't here to endorse any particular religious worldview today. Instead, we're just looking at this source material objectively to understand its structured framework. So, let's get into it.
Have you ever felt, just completely overwhelmed by life's constant flip-flop between pleasure and pain, or happiness and misery? It's a wildly universal human experience, right? We are constantly being pulled between these opposing forces, totally exhausted by the pendulum swing of daily life. Well, today's source material actually argues that this tug-of-war isn't just some accidental, annoying feature of life. It says it's literally the very definition of being in a state of profound delusion.
Section 1. The Birth of Delusion.
Okay, let's dive into this. To see exactly where this text claims our confusion begins, let's look at the precise translation of Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 text 27. It reads, "O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate." Look at the heavy terminology used there. The text posits that every single living entity enters existence already in a state of delusion. And the mechanism of that delusion. It's bewilderment caused by what the text calls dualities. And those dualities are born specifically from two things: desire and hate.
Let's break down the logic of that translation into 3 clear steps, based right on the source text's Sanskrit terminology. Step 1, desire and hate arise instinctively, We either really want something or we fiercely push something away. Step 2, because of this, duality is created. Suddenly, the whole world is split right down the middle into things I like and things I absolutely don't like. And finally, step 3, because of this massive split, the living entity is born into delusion. So the source is presenting a very specific mechanical causal chain here. This delusion doesn't just happen randomly out of nowhere. It's actually generated by the constant friction between desire and hate.
Section 2. The Trap of Duality. Let's move to and see how this builds into the underlying cause. The commentary on this text goes way deeper into the mechanics of this psychological trap, introducing a really vital concept called illusory energy. As defined here, based strictly on the text, illusory energy is the energy manifested in the duality of desire and hate that actually controls a person when they are deluded into separation from pure knowledge. It's depicted as this incredibly active binding force. So, when an entity loses its connection to pure knowledge, this illusory energy steps right in, takes the wheel, and literally uses our own desires and hatreds to steer our actions.
But what does the text actually consider pure knowledge? Well, according to the source material, the real constitutional position of the living entity is subordination to the Supreme Lord, who represents pure knowledge. So the baseline for reality, according to this framework, is this subordinate relationship. When an individual deviates from this position, the commentary states that ignorance just takes over. It's kind of like a junior employee suddenly walking into the office and genuinely believing they own the entire company. It creates a highly delusional, incredibly stressful reality. This ignorance, the text argues, even manifests as envy toward the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and a foolish desire to artificially become one with the Supreme.
Section 3. Symptoms of Illusory Energy.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how the text gives us a rapid-fire list of highly relatable common dualities. We're talking dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, woman and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain. It's basically the ancient equivalent of being absolutely elated because you hit a green light and then utterly miserable when someone cuts you off in traffic 2 blocks later. The commentary explicitly lists these as symptoms of a deluded person. It suggests that when we constantly categorize our everyday experiences into these exhausting opposing forces, chasing honor while fleeing dishonor, desperately seeking pleasure while terrified of pain, we're actively displaying the symptoms of being trapped by illusory energy.
And it actually goes further, linking these dualities directly to the ego. The commentary provides incredibly grounded examples of the ego's claims. Things like, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. The source material argues that these thoughts of strict ownership and material identity are the ultimate, real-world manifestations of dwelling in a deluded state. It's the illusory energy convincing the individual that they are the master and the owner, completely forgetting that original constitutional position of subordination we established a minute ago.
Section 4. Pure Knowledge versus Illusion.
And this brilliantly illustrates the conclusion of the commentary, which draws a sharp, undeniable line between two vastly different states of existence. On one side, we have the deluded person,
According to the text, they are controlled by illusory energy, they dwell in those exhausting dualities, they envy Krishna, and they wrongly think the Supreme Lord is created by material energies. But on the other side, we have what the text calls the pure devotee. This person is not contaminated by desire or hate. They possess pure knowledge, and they understand that the Lord appears by his own internal potencies, not material ones. It's a complete dichotomy.
The commentary really doesn't mince words when delivering its final verdict, just impartially reporting exactly what the source says. Here, those completely deluded by dualities are foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The consequence of remaining trapped in the dualistic state of desire and hate, according to the text, is a total, tragic inability to grasp the ultimate reality or understand the Supreme.
We've just walked through an ancient framework that views our everyday attachments as a psychological trap. So think about it. If our sense of ownership, our pursuit of honor, and our rigid identities are categorized here as symptoms of illusory energy, how much of your own reality is actually shaped by the illusion of duality?